Tales of the Empire is here, and from General Grievous to Grand Admiral Thrawn to Darth frickin' Vader to massive reveals that were very small in these 6 short episodes about the characters of Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee, and how important these 2 side characters' stories really are to the Star Wars galaxy. But there's a lot of tiny details in these short episodes that you might have missed, so let's break this all down. Episode 1, The Path of Fear, is the first of 3 episodes that follows Morgan Elsbeth. Now, Morgan Elsbeth was first introduced to the Star Wars galaxy in The Mandalorian Season 2. She is a Night Sister who is the magistrate on Corvus. She makes her second appearance in the Ahsoka show, where she eventually dies, but all 3 of these episodes, of course, take place before that. This episode opens on Dathomir, where we are seeing the Battle of Dathomir, or also known as the Massacre of the Night Sisters. This was seen all the way back in the Clone Wars Season 4, when General Grievous and the droid army come to extinguish the Night Sisters. We see Grievous fight against Asajj Ventress, and we see the Night Sisters get slaughtered. But Tales of the Empire shows the point of view of Morgan Elsbeth. Morgan is very young in this time, and her mom is protecting her. General Grievous shows up and is about to kill Morgan as her mom steps in and tells her to run. Now, Grievous in this Tales of the Empire episode is absolutely badass. We haven't seen General Grievous in a long time. We know he dies in Revenge of the Sith to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he played a major role in the Clone Wars throughout the 7 seasons of the animated show. But I don't know if we've ever seen him this badass. The fight between Morgan's mother and General Grievous is quite a cool one, but Grievous's 3 lightsabers are just no match for one Night Sister, as Morgan Elsbeth's mom gets struck down. Morgan sees this, and this puts her down a very dark path as Grievous turns and looks at her and starts to yell, "Run," while he begins to laugh. Morgan runs and hides in a tree, but is found by a commando droid, or a BX series droid commando. After barely surviving a fight against this droid, Morgan collapses onto the ground, the battle around her still going on, but her body looking like a dead one. It flashes forward to after the battle is over, and Morgan is recovered by the Mountain Clan. The mother of the Mountain Clan tells Morgan that she is lucky to be alive. As she looks upon a valley of flames, this is when Morgan's arc of revenge begins. The title of this episode is The Path of Fear, and it is referring to Morgan Elsbeth, but it's also referring to the sisters of the Mountain Clan. The mother's daughter, Nali, is afraid that the Separatists are going to come back and kill the Mountain Clan. If they killed the Night Sisters, why wouldn't they come back for us? Morgan and Nali go on a hunt together, where they have to hide because Separatist ships fly above them. Nali is clearly terrified of the droids, but Morgan says, "We can fight back." She says, "I watched my mother die. Are you prepared to do the same? Knowing that you could do something now to prevent it." So Nali goes to talk to her mother. She tells her that she's worried that the droids are going to come back to kill them. Ali says, "We just don't have anything to protect ourselves if they decide to." To which the mother responds with, "I hear Morgan Elsbeth's words on your lips. We have to trust in our way."
This is the way.
But outside, Morgan Elsbeth has already convinced Nali's friends to go grab weapons from the bunker where the Night Sisters used to live. They go into the bunker to find these weapons when the Separatists arrive. In a fight against the droids, Nali gets shot, and when it looks like Morgan Elsbeth and the others are going to die as well, this bright light appears and the mother of the Mountain Clan walks through a portal. She creates this ball of energy around her as it explodes and destroys all the droids around them. Something's crazy about this planet of Dathomir when it has the Night Sisters who wield magic, Zabrak that create characters like Darth Maul and Savage Opress, and now this Mountain Clan that has a mother that can do this. But Morgan Elsbeth goes to help up the mother as she says, "You must not assume just because someone does not want to fight that they are not capable of fighting." And she asks where her daughter Nali is, as she is dying because she was shot by a droid. The mother picks up her daughter's dead body and walks away, and as she does, she tells Morgan it appears that your path is already set. And she says, "I pity you, for I can see what is to come." And this final shot shows that Morgan Elsbeth is living in a world on fire. And that ends episode 1. I gave episode 1 a 9 out of 10, establishing Morgan Elsbeth's early on days in the Clone Wars with the massacre of the Night Sisters, showing us General Grievous absolutely slaughter Morgan Elsbeth's mom, gave us so much backstory that we never knew about Morgan Elsbeth when we see this character in The Mandalorian or in the Ahsoka show. It establishes her fear, it establishes her hatred, and it establishes why she becomes the villain that she is. An amazing start to this 6-episode miniseries. But episode 2, The Path of anger might just be better than the first. It starts on Coruscant, and it's still the early days of the Empire because we see that the Venators are still being used, and one Star Destroyer as well. Morgan Elsbeth is pitching the TIE Defenders to the Empire. We've seen the TIE Defenders in Star Wars Rebels. It's Grand Admiral Thrawn's favorite thing in Star Wars Rebels, but Morgan Elsbeth seems to be the one who created it. The only problem is the TIE fighters that the Empire creates now are cheap, and the TIE Defenders are extremely expensive. Morgan's presentation is interrupted by Moff Isdane. He says they're just too expensive, and asks how she's ever going to be able to manufacture these TIE Defenders. She tells them that her base of operations is on Corvus. Corvus is the planet that we first see Morgan Elsbeth on in The Mandalorian Season 2, and she tells the Empire that this planet is ripe with raw goods and materials, as many of the planets in that star system are, which was a bad idea to tell the Empire. Moff Isdane says we will not be moving forward with this deal, but those raw resources and goods that you talk about might be pretty useful to us. And as he leaves the room, he tells her to go back to her world and prepare for their arrival. This is when Captain Pellaeon comes in the room. Captain Pellaeon is straight from Star Wars Legends. He was the second in command when it came to Grand Admiral Thrawn. But just recently, Pellaeon made his canon debut in The Mandalorian Season 3, talking about Thrawn in this Shadow Council meeting. And now here he is in Tales of the Empire, still working for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Morgan says to Pellaeon, I'm assuming the Empire is going to come steal my ideas and my resources. And Pellaeon says no. He's more interested in her mind. He says that his superior, Thrawn, sent him there to find people with a particular vision. Pellaeon asks Morgan a very important question. Why is she trying to help the Empire? And Morgan lies and says, for the glory of the Empire, of course. Thinking that because Pellaeon is working for the Empire, that's what he wants to hear. But it's not. Pellaeon leaves and we cut to Corvus. We see Morgan Elsbeth's ship land on the planet, the same ship that we see in the Ahsoka show, and Corvus looks very different from when we last saw it in The Mandalorian. It's full of life and has growing trees and some actual color to it. When Morgan Elsbeth lands, he is met by Wing. We see Wing in The Mandalorian Season 2 as well, but he asks if it was a success. Morgan Elsbeth tells him no, the Empire's going to come steal their resources, and they did not like her ideas. But Wing says that she promised that the Empire would help change things, and the people trusted her, put our lives in her hands. And she said that when she found this village, you guys were nothing. Just a backwater world rotting away. And she says that she gave them strength to control their surrounding system. People are not very happy about this and they start to get antsy. We cut to the nighttime where Morgan Elsbeth is looking over the town and she gets attacked by a bounty hunter named Rook. Now this was
a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
As Rook hasn't been seen since Star Wars Rebels, so this really came out of nowhere. But Morgan Elsbeth and Rook have a very cool fight, and it actually ends with Morgan Elsbeth winning. But it was all just a test by Thrawn to see if she was capable of holding her own. As before Morgan Elsbeth kills Rook, Pellaeon steps in and says that will be all. As Thrawn arrives for the first time ever in the Clone Wars style of animation, he says that history remembers the witches of Dathomir, but he has never seen a Night Sister in action, so he was very curious to witness Morgan Elsbeth's skills on display. Morgan Elsbeth asks, "Who are you?" To which he responds with Admiral Thrawn, not yet Grand Admiral Thrawn. This is still in Thrawn's earlier days in the Empire as he's still gaining power. This conversation between Thrawn and Morgan Elsbeth is probably the coolest part of this entire Tales of the Jedi series to me. This is Thrawn working almost against the Empire or on his own terms, because he knows that most of the higher-ups that work for the Empire are just short-sighted fools. And he also knows that people like Morgan Elsbeth are people he wants to keep close, not only because she can fight, but also because of her bright ideas like the TIE Defenders. Thrawn says that the Empire is a magnificent construct. However, it is not without its vulnerabilities, because they look too much on the grand scale and often overlook where problems begin, as problems always start small. Speaking of the rebellion, Thrawn knows that he needs people like Morgan Elsbeth to stop rebellions before they even start. But Morgan Elsbeth said that the Empire's on their way right now to come steal my resources and my ideas. Thrawn just says many in the Empire will trade lives for profit, and over time that will create a weak military, and the Empire will slowly crumble. And this is what we see. Thrawn is literally telling us what the original trilogy is. The rebellion rises and the Empire slowly crumbles. And that's why when Thrawn shows up in the Mandoverse as the heir to the Empire, he is going to be a very good villain to play the part of the next Palpatine. But Thrawn says, I believe that you lied to Captain Pellaeon earlier when you told him why you seek Imperial favor. So he asks again, and Morgan says, revenge. She says, I seek power to ensure my future and destroy my enemies. And Thrawn gives her a portion of his fleet at her disposal to begin her operations for the TIE Defenders. Ending the episode. Honestly, I give episode 2 a 10 out of 10. This is perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect.
Thrawn explaining the downfall of the Empire and why he's going to make such a great villain in the Mandoverse is so damn good. And again, getting the connection between Thrawn and Morgan Elsbeth to set up The Mandalorian and the Ahsoka show gives us all the background we needed for these two characters. Not to mention bring back Rook from Star Wars Rebels just to have this awesome fight sequence. It was perfect. So let's move on to the third and final episode for Morgan Elsbeth in this series called The Path of Hate. We start on Corvus, but it's clearly years and years and years later during the time of the New Republic, as Corvus looks a lot less colorful. The trees are still intact, and it doesn't quite look like it does in The Mandalorian just yet, but we'll get there. As a New Republic cruiser lands, we see a former citizen of Corvus, who now works as an ambassador for the New Republic. Her name is Nadora, and I wouldn't get too attached to her. She comes as help from the New Republic, but she talks to Wing, and he doesn't even know that the Empire has been gone. News doesn't travel fast around these parts. Nadora asks, where's Morgan Elsbeth? And Wing says nobody really sees her anymore. The guards just keep us working day and night. And what they're working on is the Eye of Sion from the Ahsoka show. This is how they jump in hyperspace from galaxy to galaxy to go save Grand Admiral Thrawn. But Nadora says she can fix this, and she's going to go talk to Morgan Elsbeth. She tells Morgan that she has come on behalf of the New Republic because she brought a petition to the Senate for Corvus to become a member planet of the New Republic. But Morgan does not want that because that would mean that she would have to step down and relinquish her control to somebody of the New Republic. Nadura says if you will not comply, we will have to arrest you. She says, is this not what your people want? To which Morgan responds with, how would you know what our people want? You're the one who left us. But Morgan Elsbeth says she needs to fulfill her destiny, which again is to create the Eye of Sion and bring Grand Admiral Thrawn back. Nadura says that she will not allow that to happen. As a firefight breaks out, all of the New Republic guards are shot and killed as Nadura runs back to her shuttle. Nadura uses her comm to tell her droid R8 to send out a distress call, but by the time she makes it to her shuttle, it blows up, and Morgan sends her guards into the forest to burn it to the ground, leading to the Corvus that we remember from The Mandalorian Season 2. And as all the citizens watch, Wing goes to Nadura's body. She is dying, but she is still alive. She tells him that he must be brave. She tells her that help is on the way and hands him a comm link. She says you must be ready to do your part when help arrives, even if it's a very small part. Nadura dies and the comm link rolls out of her hand, as we hear Bo-Katan's voice as she says, who is this? Now we know that in The Mandalorian Season 2, Din Djarin goes to Bo-Katan first, who tells Din where Ahsoka is. She's on Corvus. So Bo-Katan sends Ahsoka Tano to go save the people of Corvus. That doesn't happen for quite a while, because this comm link is destroyed by the Beskar spear that Morgan Elsbeth has, as she says that no one is coming. And that ends the Morgan Elsbeth arc of the Tales of the Jedi. And I give this third episode an 8 out of 10. It was my least favorite of the 3, even though we got that very cool tease at Bo-Katan, and it was during the time of the New Republic and got teases at the Eye of Sion and stuff like that. I just thought the first 2 episodes were just a little bit better. But regardless, the first arc of Morgan Elsbeth episodes were unbelievably good. Now we move on to Barriss Offee. And wow, does this start with a bang. Episode 4, titled Devoted, starts with Barriss Offee waking up from a dream in her jail cell. Now at the end of Season 5 of the Clone Wars, Barriss is put into prison for bombing the Jedi Temple and framing Ahsoka Tano for it. But because of the bombing, she is put into prison for a life sentence. However, out her very small window on her Coruscant prison, she sees fire in the distance and hears explosions as Order 66 is going on. She asks the guards to come help, And they say, just be happy that you're not a Jedi anymore, because by tomorrow, the Jedi won't exist anymore. Then we have a little bit of a time jump, and this time jump might be bigger than most people actually think, because originally the Inquisitors start on Coruscant, and it's not till Vader has trained a bunch of Inquisitors already until they move to that Inquisitorious base. And obviously the Fourth Sister and the Grand Inquisitor are already trained Inquisitors. So quite some time has passed, but Barriss is woken up by the Fourth Sister, who has come to give her an opportunity. When she walks in the room, Barriss calls her Lynn, as all the Inquisitors before they became Inquisitors were once Jedi. But the Fourth Sister tells her that she no longer goes by that name. She tells her that the Jedi Order is gone, and because she was arrested by the Republic for accusing the Jedi of murder and treason, then she was right, and she is free now. Or at least sort of free. She takes Barriss to the Inquisitor's base, which is being constructed right now. A very cool little detail. She goes inside where she recognizes the two other Jedi that are being recruited with her. One named Dante, and the other one named Amar. But the Grand Inquisitor comes in and says, now that you've all arrived, we can begin. He says that you are here because the Jedi failed and the Republic is gone, and we now need to secure the Empire. He says if you prove yourselves worthy in today's task, then you can join us. And he tells them to go to their room and do not leave. Sounds simple enough, but for Amar, I guess it's not, as he says that this doesn't sound better than the Jedi, and he doesn't want to be a part of it, as he leaves the room. The next day, the Fourth Sister comes to get Barriss and Dante, and when they come into the room with the Grand Inquisitor, well, you know, Amar died. The Grand Inquisitor takes Barriss into a room with a bunch of lightsabers on the table, giving her one of the lightsabers, telling her to attack. And Barriss says she doesn't understand. He is defenseless. He shouldn't just attack her with a lightsaber. That is the Jedi way in her. But she attacks him, and the Grand Inquisitor dodges all of the strikes, saying that she's holding back, which makes her predictable. This training sequence goes on, and the Grand Inquisitor throws her into the ceiling. And as he says, perhaps you were not as powerful as we thought, she pushes him into the wall, showing him exactly what he was waiting for. So they take Barriss to this room with Dante with a giant opening in the middle of the floor. The Grand Inquisitor throws a lightsaber on the ground and says, we only need one of you. Dante immediately picks up the lightsaber and Barriss says, what are you doing? To which he responds with, they're going to kill us both if we don't do this. Throughout this entire fight, Barriss is resisting trying to kill him because she was brought up in the Jedi way. This is not how she was taught by her master, Luminara. But just as it looks like Barriss is about to lose, she force chokes him and throws him down the hole, completing her training and receiving this awesome mask. Honestly, I need one of these masks. This is like one of the coolest designs in Star Wars, but sadly it doesn't really last very long. And this first episode ends with us seeing all these other Inquisitors, the Fourth Sister, the Sixth Brother, and the Inquisitor that we see in Tales of the Jedi that comes to hunt down Ahsoka Tano, who is in hiding, but Ahsoka eventually chops off his head. However, they all kneel as they meet their new master, Darth Vader. Sadly, this is the only scene that we see of Darth Vader in this entire show. My only gripe with the Tales of the Empire series is that we only got this one scene of Vader. I was hoping for a lot more Vader, maybe getting to see him train with the Inquisitors, or at least seeing him torture Barriss for what she did in the Clone Wars, but sadly this was the only scene of Vader that we got. The Grand Inquisitor says, long live the Empire, as Barriss puts on her mask. And that ends episode 4. This episode was a 9 out of 10. This was my favorite Barriss episode of all 3, and it definitely started with a bang. But episode 5 is titled Realization, and this is sort of seeing Barriss Offee go on this arc of realizing that the Empire is not the good guys, but that wasn't that hard to notice. It starts with Barriss and the Fourth Sister on their way to hunt down a Jedi. They arrive on this planet that's pretty much destroyed and they have nothing. And Barriss really wants to help these people. Barriss has always been a nice person. Even when she bombed the Jedi Temple, she wasn't doing it because she's evil and wants to kill everybody. It's because the Jedi were corrupt and blind and she was trying to make them see. However, throughout this episode, she is realizing that the Empire is a lot worse. We see them go in and start questioning a bunch of the citizens. The Fourth Sister asking them where the Jedi is, and they all claim that there is no Jedi around here. But Barriss sees a little kid and goes to ask them if there's any Jedi around. She takes her helmet off to make her feel more trustworthy, and the kid said that they're hiding in the mountains. Barriss tells the Fourth Sister that they're in the mountains and that they should go find the Jedi, but before they do, the Fourth Sister says that all these people lied to her, and she kills them all, killing every last innocent citizen in this town. Kids show. Am I right? In the entire way there, Barriss is questioning how the Inquisitors are supposed to work. They're supposed to bring order to the galaxy, not chaos. To which the Fourth Sister responds with, rebellion brings chaos, and we must stop a rebellion before it starts. We then see them scaling up the side of a mountain as they almost get knocked off by falling boulders, but the Fourth Sister makes it up before Barriss and starts fighting this Jedi. Barriss tries to talk to this Jedi, telling him that they're not there to kill him, and that he needs to go with them so that they can help him. Barriss says, aren't you tired of running? As the Fourth Sister strikes him down from behind. Not killing him fully though. Barriss says he's still alive and they should bring him back. They can save him. But the Fourth Sister says, no, he's not worth our time. And that's when Barriss realizes that the Empire is really the bad guys, which leads her to force push the Fourth Sister off the side of the mountain. As she takes off her helmet, throws it off the mountain as well, and goes back to try to rescue the Jedi. This is when Barriss first uses her Force healing. We've seen Force healing a few times in Star Wars. Grogu uses it in The Mandalorian, and Rey uses it in The Rise of Skywalker. Barriss has been a Force healer for a long time in Star Wars Legends, and now they're actually bringing that aspect of her character into canon in this Tales of the Empire show. As the episode ends, but in episode 6, we actually get to see her become the healer. I give episode 5 a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't my favorite, but it did show us how Barriss turns against the Inquisitors, and of course ends up force pushing the Fourth Sister off the cliff. Another
Surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
A little bit of a twist, even though we know for a fact that the Fourth Sister survives that fall because she is in Kenobi. But episode 6, The Way Out, takes place after the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi, as it starts with a family, a mother, a daughter, and a child going through a blizzard, and they are looking for the healer, as this porcupine creature dude comes out of nowhere and brings them to Barriss. Barriss is in the middle of nowhere and is working as a healer. Now immediately you notice that Barriss looks old as hell, but that is because she's been doing all of this healing. The Force healing is actually giving her Force essence to the other people to heal them, making her a lot older, or at least look a lot older. The parents come in, and she says there's nothing wrong with their kid, but they claim that the Empire came by and did blood tests on all these kids. And they said that something about our kid scared the Empire, and they wanted to take him, but we left before they could. Meaning this kid is Force sensitive. And now, with the Inquisitors, they're going to hunt down this child. So the parents ask, so you're saying our kid's a Jedi? And she says, no. Well, in the time of the old Jedi way, they would have taken him to the Jedi Temple and trained him in the ways of the Force. That was a long time ago. But now the Empire will take your child and use it for something way worse. When they're interrupted because somebody is coming. Barriss tells them to leave and the coordinates on the ship are already programmed in. They ask where they're taking them, and she says, an old friend. I believe this is referring to Ahsoka Tano, but some people think it could be referring to Asajj Ventress. Either way, it has something to do with the hidden path and the rebellion that we see in the Kenobi show and in Jedi Survivor. They go on their way to get to the ship as Barriss buys them some time. The person coming in is the Fourth Sister. I honestly really wanted it to be Darth Vader. Thought it would have been a lot cooler to see him finally kill Barriss, but Tales of the Empire gave us this pretty cool arc between the Fourth Sister and Barriss, so I'm okay with it. The Fourth Sister said that she was sent there to kill the baby. Barriss says you don't see anything wrong with that. She asks Lynn what she has become, as the Fourth Sister calls her a traitor, and to stop calling her that. That's not her name. Fourth Sister brings out her lightsaber and starts swinging at Barriss as she dodges all of the attack. Fourth Sister tells her to step aside, and she says, I will, but I warn you, if you follow the child into the cave, you will not know your way out, and if you go in, you will not make it out. The Fourth Sister says, once I'm done with the child, I will come back for you, as she runs into the cave. The child and his family escape on the ship as the Fourth Sister is lost inside the cave. Barriss's voice begins to echo around, saying, I told you. Fourth Sister begins to lose it. Barriss says, let me help you, as she turns around and stabs her. She immediately says, I forgive you. She says, I don't want your forgiveness. I want you to just tell me the way out. She says, there is no way out, is there? And she says, that's what the Empire wants you to think. Bringing the Fourth Sister back to the light. She carries Barriss out of the cave and leaves her lightsaber behind. And the episode ends, leaving it on a cliffhanger. Will yet another Star Wars character survive another striking blow to the gut? That's up for you to decide. I give this 6th and final episode an 8 out of 10. I thought it was better than the last episode, and a good way to bring the Fourth Sister back to the light. And the little tease at possibly Ahsoka or Asajj Ventress in the hidden path was pretty damn cool too. Overall, Tales of the Empire was a massive success. I hope they do a second season, focusing on 2 different Imperial characters, and I hope they go back to Tales of the Jedi and do a second season of that as well. I really can't emphasize this enough. The animation style in this show and in the Bad Batch and in the Clone Wars Season 7 and in Tales of the Jedi is really just peak. And I hope there's a lot more on the way. But overall, all 6 episodes, I rate it an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, I wanted more Vader, and the Barriss stuff was not at all what I expected, but the Morgan Elsbeth stuff was absolutely incredible. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. What do you rate each episode and all the episodes together out of 10? And if you want to know what I think the next multi-season animated Star Wars show is going to be, I explain all of this in a video I just did right here.